but now comes the final showdown between Pastor Stagey and Danny. And this, I don't know if you got this. This is the penultimate episode of The Prisoner, where number 2 and number 6 are talking. And number 2 is in charge. Pastor Stagey is number 2. Danny Wagner is number 6. And he eventually turns the table and he basically defeats Pastor Stagey. In the end, Pastor Stagey is lying on the floor, basically. And so we get Christine again still wanting to sing. Pastor Stagey, I'm running this classroom. Danny, so run it then. Pastor Stagey, I mean. Danny, it's called cosmic fine-tuning. Pastor, what? The belief that the cosmos has just the right degree of properties for human life to be. Pastor Stagey, well, there you go. Proof that God is real. Danny, Pastor Stagey, Pastor Stagey, Pastor Stagey. Don't you know anything? And then, a little bit further on, Christine is, let's sing a Christmas carol. Let's sing a Christmas carol. And we get this long scene, because this goes on for about 7 or 8 pages, the ending, well, maybe about 5 or 6 pages, with Danny and Pastor Stagey in this sort of philosophical battle here. And by the end of it, as you had mentioned, Pastor Stagey, is just saying the same word over and over again. And then Danny says, I think you need a vacation. Pastor Stagey, what? Danny, get away. Pastor Stagey, I'm retiring. Danny, you always say that, but you never leave. It's a nipple, I tell you, and you are the baby. Pastor Stagey, no. Then Danny, yes, no, yes, no, yes, no, yes, no. Then we hear Friend the Cat comes back. And then Pastor Stagey, stay in your seat, Danny. Christine, let's sing a Christmas carol. So Christine starts singing Away in a Manger, which again goes back to the 72 video. Christine's singing Away in the Manger as Danny and Pastor Stagey go on and on again. And then Danny, it's not better up there. Pastor Stagey, it is. Danny, nothing up there. Pastor Stagey, there is. Danny, no, you're wrong. I'm right. You have to be wrong. Danny, too bad. For me, maybe. And so Danny eventually wears Pastor Stagey down. That by the end, the ending here, Danny says of his sister's singing, she just wants to torture us. And then Danny, as Christine ends, Danny says, damn, that's the end. Pastor Stagey's blackout. Then a spotlight goes up in the face of Pastor Stagey as he sits up on the floor. Pastor Stagey, we don't use the word damn in this classroom, Danny. Blackout. Then a spotlight goes up on the face of Danny Wagner. Okay. Blackout. Spotlight up on Danny Wagner. Done. That's the end. Blackout. Then Pastor Stagey, he gets light, and then he just simply sighs and lays back down on the floor as if he's just been totally defeated. And so that's the ending. So this like I said, I had in my mind, I wanted to have Pastor Stagey as number 2 and Danny as number 6, and even though Danny may lose in real life and isn't going to be well known or famous or what, Danny at least beats the forces of unreason in this play, which is Pastor Stagey.
Eyes on the Ground, though, I did get that it was from The Prisoner. It's sort of like the classic scene where Rover goes and gets number 6. So Pastor Stagey's been put in the number 6 role at the end.
Well, no, he at the end, if you remember, number 2 is drinking, and then he basically faints in the little cage scene. So I was going for that. I wouldn't say that there's any Rover in this scene. I mean,
no, I don't mean it that way. I mean, there's a classic scene in The Prisoner where Rover attacks him, and you see number 6 sprawled out on the beat. It had that same image.
Yeah.
But Pastor Stagey is in the role of number 6.
But here is where there's no music other than Christine singing derangedly again. The reprise is basically what it distills something deep and philosophical. And I think the reprise, even if you remove Christine's singing, works as just a dramatic battle between the pastor and the unbeliever. And at one point Danny even says, I'm 9 years old. This stuff is nonsense. It's ridiculous. Why do you believe this? And Pastor Stagey is cast, not the real Pastor Stagey, but the fictive Pastor Stagey, as this guy who just needs this nipple, as Danny calls it. And I think it's a really good and effective end. And because it ends in a dramatic way, it uplifts the whole rest of the play, too.
I was going to say that, too. If you would have ended before the reprise, I think you could still argue it was a great play, but it is a much better play with that reprise.
Yeah. And then at the end, I just listed 48 songs that are used in there, and it's an interesting collection. I didn't necessarily, as I was writing it, some songs like the Yardbirds Farewell song came to me, but it's just interesting. And the writing of this whole play, made for an interesting process, and I really enjoyed writing it. But it's a chore, and I don't think once I do these other two musicals throughout the rest of the year, I don't think I'm gonna do many more. I don't think I'm gonna do a lot of musicals. Maybe I'll do one or two later in my life. Maybe I'll even write some songs at some point if I'm old and want to just challenge myself. But uh, I think using these songs that already exist is a good way to do it. And if we didn't have this onerous public domain shit, uh, so much more could be done. This play is another strike against the the monetization of material that should be in the public domain. You shouldn't have these. I mean, a lot of these songs, because they're owned by companies, it's going to be like 95 years since until they come in. So a song like the Holly song, which came out in 1968, Jennifer Eccles, it's going to be 2063 until that's in the public domain. Another 40 some years. That's ridiculous.
Yeah. Before we end, I wanted to ask you about the play that you're writing now. You said that it's not a play that you necessarily like, and that you're taking longer with it. Why is that? And are you doing something particularly different with this play?
Well, that's a play that I'm writing about this girl, the one black girl that I had a semi kind of relationship for about a month and a half with, and it's turning more into a critique of the 1990s Minnesota art scene, and it's a long play. It's sort of like the play where I did 6 little playlets in one, except they're not separate little playlets. They are cohering, and I just have to find the right things. And it's a dense play. Right now I'm at, I think, 29,000 words, and it's probably going to be at least 40,000 words. So it'll probably be on stage as long as this play. But I thought I was going to just do a brief play. But as I've been writing it, more and more has come in. A guy that I knew in the past, I found out died last year. Then I found out another woman had a stroke. And so I'm working all of these characters in, and some of them tie into each other. And I'm just also very tired. It's been busy at work, and so it's just taking me a little longer. But I use that to an advantage, because sometimes you know exactly what you want, and doing it real quick is fun and you feel good about it. But by the same token, it's good to sometimes take something, start it out and say, I don't know where I'm going with this, but keep forging at it. And now I've gotten to the point where I know where I'm going to go with it, but it's going to take longer. It's a bit more of a slog. It'll probably take another 7 to 10 days to complete, which will be about maybe 2.5, 3 weeks to write. But it's good to push yourself and to know that you can respond, and not to give up on things, and just to keep pushing it. And if I didn't say this on camera to you, you might not get that if you saw the final play. And that's the sign of doing well with art, is that for people not to know that something took you, vexed you, at least in its creation.
When can you? I know you've mentioned several poems in the past, like Frost Design or Chaplin-esque by Hart Crane. You've said that you can tell that they vexed those poets. Why is that?
I don't remember saying that. I mean, in what sense vex them?
It just seems that those poems were so different from what they usually write that it feels like it's more strained than usual.
Again, I don't remember saying that, but yeah, I mean, it's true that design is well, design. I would have to say probably Stopping by Woods on a Snowy Evening is probably more outside Frost's wheelhouse. Chaplin-esque. I don't know. Again, it's one of these things. How many conversations do you have with someone? And it's like, I was talking with that fellow from Ireland, and he brought up something that I said, or someone else brought up something I said, and it's like, I don't remember every goddamn thing I've ever said. It's one of these things where people will sometimes hang up on a minutia. Maybe I make an offhanded comment about an actor or something, and someone will come up, it was one of the kids who's been emailing me, and it was that that Charles Kahn guy asked me some question. I was like, I don't necessarily remember. I'd have to know in the moment. It could have be, oh, maybe I mistook something. I don't remember actually saying that.
Well,
So
I only meant in terms of example, not design and Chaplin-esque specifically, but when can you tell something is strained? When can you tell that the artist has been thinking about it and struggling with putting it together?
it would depend on each thing. I'd have again. There's because
Sort of
artists.
an ineffable instinct?
Yeah, because artists are different. You'd have to see the patterns of what they're doing and whatnot, and something that seems to maybe ripple or disturb the process might stick with you. If I mean, Kubrick had a very distinctive film style. I would have a sense that probably Barry Lyndon was something that he may not have enjoyed as much. Now I could be wrong. It might have been his favorite film to make, but I get the sense that it doesn't have the heft of some of his stuff, say from Strangelove on. That's probably a film that he didn't enjoy. Now that could just be my sense of it. Again, these are things that are going to be subjective because I wasn't there with Kubrick. I wasn't in his mind, so I couldn't say with definity.
You could say though that whatever he did with it, whether he enjoyed it or not, it suffered by that lack of something that was distinctly him.
Yeah, and that's a bit more of an objective take.